Yo, welcome to PTA Sports. I am your host, Pest the Analyst, and we got a lot to talk about, so strap in. It's going to be a long one. All right, so before I get into anything, right, I just want to go ahead and throw a couple of thank yous out there. First and foremost, thank you to all of you who have come and listened to me talk throughout this season. It's been a long-ass season, man. Been a long, rough season, but I appreciate everybody who's come in, listened, thumbs up my videos, commented. Hey, I appreciate all y'all. The next thank you I want to give is to this New York Giants football team. I mean, listen, it was a rough season, right? We didn't win a lot of games, a lot of embarrassing moments, both for the organization, the players, the coaches, and us, the fans. But hey, I appreciate y'all, man, for going out there and doing your thing. Next one, man, I want to say a thank you to our former head coach, Pat Shurmur. Hey, here's the deal, y'all. We all kind of agree, right, that this dude was kind of at the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe a little in over his head, right? Maybe not prepared or just not the head coach type of guy, man. But, I appreciate his efforts, man. I appreciate what he's done for the last 2 years, man. I appreciate the fact that, our locker room has been relatively clean, has been a whole lot of craziness going on. And clearly, right, most of the players was going to bat for him. So I appreciate him. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Eli Manning. All right. This is it, man. For 16 years, man, my quarterback has been Eli Manning, right? And it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to think of, a season of New York Giants football that does not include Eli Manning. At this point in time, we don't know where he's going to go. We don't know if he's going to continue to play or if he's going to retire. Whatever the case, man, Eli, I appreciate you, bro. Man, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. If you go to another team, I'm a rep for you, man. If you don't and you just, ride off into the sunset, hey, man, thank you for the memories, bro. So, all right. Thank yous out of the way. Let's talk about what is currently going on, man. It's a lot of news. A lot of things are happening, right? And, I kind of purposely waited. I purposely waited to do any reactions to anything, to come in front of this microphone and talk about this team. I really didn't have any plans on really talking about the Giants-Eagles game specifically, right? Because it's the last game. It was kind of meaningless. I guess if the Giants would have beat the Eagles, I would have jumped on this microphone and we would have talked or whatever. But hey, it is what it is, man. Giants lost. Season's over. Now we're in this off-season mode. And first order of business, relieving Pat Shurmur of his duties. I said all season, man, that if Pat Shurmur was not the head coach of this team anymore, I wasn't going to come out here and defend him. I'm not going to come out here and defend him. I mean, at the end of the day, this was a move that had to be made, all right? We had to do this. The head coach had to go, man, because at the end of the day, right, he didn't have these players prepared. He didn't have these players ready. He didn't have these players put in the correct position. I mean, we want to blame James Bettcher, and James Bettcher does deserve some of the blame for the defense. But at the end of the day, Pat Shurmur is the head coach, so it's Pat Shurmur's job to get the offense and the defense and the special teams. It's his job to get everything in order and ready to go play. So when the entire team doesn't play well, it's Pat Shurmur's fault. All right, we can sit here, we can talk about the fact that he didn't have a great roster. Nah, not really. He didn't have a great roster. All right. We didn't have the best players. We had a bunch of young guys. I mean, we all knew that. We knew that at the beginning, man. I talked about that when I did the off-season review before the actual season started. We had a bunch of young guys. They was going to get torched up. They was going to get wrecked up. And it was what it was. But there's winnable games, man. There were winnable games this season, man, that we got the crap kicked out of us. And it shouldn't even been that. So, at the end of the day, man, hey, the head coach had to go. it's safe to assume that the rest of the coaches are going to be gone at some point, right? Our general manager, who is still our general manager, he talked about that a little bit today in his press conference. This coaching staff, everybody's got the opportunity to go and find another gig if they want to. They're not going to be blocked. Every coach that's here that doesn't go and try to find an opportunity is going to have the opportunity to talk to whoever the new head coach is and, vie for them to keep their job. I don't know how likely that is. It's probably not very. Every coach is going to be able to go to, some of the games that are happening around the world, and go do some of the things that these coaches go do in the off season. I mean, hey, that's cool, that's good, but ultimately, man, probably everybody that's on the staff is going away. And honestly, that's kind of the way it should be, all right? The next coach should be able to bring in who he wants. So, all right, Gettlemen did his press conference today. I see a lot of Giants Twitter going kind of crazy because Gettlemen is still here. I also see some people that are okay with Gettlemen being here. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm okay with Gettlemen still being here. Okay. I think that overall, he's done a fairly decent job of trying to get us in a position where we can be successful in the future. All right, we got tons of cap space. We've got some good players, man. We got a good core that we can continue to build around. And at the end of the day, Gettleman's the guy to do it right now. And I mean, listen, the owners feel the same way. All right, they didn't want to have to start whole new processes. They didn't want to, kind of reboot all the implementations that Gettleman has put in. So I can kind of understand why the owners are listen, man, we got to have at least a little bit of stability here. We got to have some stability. So Gettleman's going to be that stability. Gettleman's going to be that continuity. All right. But listen, Gettleman's not off the hook here. Okay. Gettleman is not off the hook. Please do not misconstrue me kind of supporting Gettleman still being here with me, not thinking Gettleman didn't make mistakes. Yo, Gettleman made a lot of mistakes over the course of the last couple of years, all right? And I know that with the owners, he's going to have a short leash. He's definitely got a short leash with me, all right? He really does. It's put up or shut up time, bro. It's year 3, okay? And you have ultimately failed over your first 2 years. You did enough good things to warrant you still being here, but you ain't, you ain't doing enough to where if there's somebody better, we ain't checking for that person. So it is what it is, man. Gettleman, like I said, he had his press conference today. Press conference went about 26 minutes. The reporters was getting in his ass. They was getting in his ass during this conference, man. They were pulling no punches. And I'll be honest with you, man. I was sitting there listening, and I was like, well, damn, man. I don't know how I would react to some of these questions that are being asked, but they're legitimate questions. I'm not saying that Gettleman should have been pissed off or he should have been a dick to the reporters and nothing like that. All the questions that were asked were 100% legitimate. All right. It seemed these reporters, all the frustration that they've had all season long because no one's been able to talk to Gettleman, which he talked about, during the press conference, but all their frustration and all their anger and all their vile vitriol, they just gave it to him. They just gave it to him. We've been saving this shit all season for that ass, and the reporters was letting him have it. Ultimately though, Gettleman did well. All right, he did well. I said on Twitter though that I didn't feel warm and fuzzy and good and excited after the press conference. I just didn't. It didn't give me the best of vibes. he kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Like I didn't come out of the press conference after I watched it. I didn't come out and go, yeah, man, we gonna be all right. It was more of like, man, I hope we gonna be all right. Like that was the way I felt. But let's kind of talk about some of the things that Gettlemen said during his press conference. He talked quite a bit about collaboration. He talked about how, like, you know, the moves that were made over the course of the last 2 years were not solely made by him. He spoke with, you know, the rest of the staff and got input, you know, and he utilized that input to make, you know, the decisions that he made. And, you know, going forward, you know, he wants to continue to do that. He wants to continue to have collaboration with whoever the staff is and make decisions together, because in his mind, it's not a dictatorship. I mean, cool, I guess, right? Cool. You know, the way Pat Shurmur was talking, man, he didn't have a say in this roster. The way he was talking, because he was talking smack like, yo, man, I got nothing but backups and practice squad guys here. Like, what y'all want me to do? So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, is that an indictment on Shurmur? Is his decision making in terms of the players he wants? Is his decision making bad? I mean, I don't know. But I mean, like, if collaboration was had, then our staff sucked in terms of, you know, personnel, in terms of the players that they needed to get. Like, they kind of sucked because we made a lot of moves that were just like, they just didn't work out. They just didn't. As I said, Gettlemen addressed the fact that he didn't talk at all throughout the whole season. He said that, you know, in his mind, right, once the season starts, it's not about him. It's about the players and the coaches. And so he kind of falls to the back and he lets the head coach be the head coach. Also said that, like, he kind of felt bad that Pat Shurmur had to, like, take a lot of the bullets that should have been aimed at Gettlemen. I mean, like, here's my thing, man. I was frustrated during the season because we hadn't heard from Gettlemen. Like, I'll admit it, I was frustrated. I also said, you know, during the season that Gettlemen ain't got to tell nobody shit. Like, he can do whatever he wants because he's general manager. He's there making the moves. So, like, you know, I'm kind of on the fence about, you know, whether it was a good or a bad thing that he didn't talk at all during the season. I mean, I suppose it would have been good for him to come out and say, like, hey guys, like, we know that what we're doing isn't necessarily working, but we're going to continue to fight and we're going to continue to try to, you know, right the ship, and that's that. And I'm saying, like, if he came out and talked for just like 5 minutes, man, and just, you know, acknowledged that, like, yo, this is a shit show right now. If he would have did that, I think a lot of us would have been like, all right, well, at least the general manager knows, and he's trying to figure it out. So I mean, as I heard him say, like, how he felt bad for Shurmur or whatnot, in my mind, I was like, well, then why don't you bring your ass out there and say something? Like, you just let this dude just riddled with bullets, just every week, pop, 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 just getting fired on, man. And I mean, you know, hey, he says that, like, in the future, he may talk more. You know, he's kind of talking like maybe that was a mistake on his part to not speak at all throughout the season. Hey, listen, you know, we're going to see what he does next year, man. He didn't necessarily promise that he's going to talk more throughout the season. He just said that he acknowledges that it wasn't the best look. Cool, whatever. He also talked about more analytics. I mean, this is interesting, right? Because Mara talked about, like, the analytics and how they're using more analytics, and that was kind of part of the reason why Gettlemen stayed, was because of all these things he put in place, all the you know, things behind the scenes that we don't get to see that he put in place. Apparently Gettlemen talked to a big analytics guy, you know, got some advice from him, got some advice from some other general managers, both inside and outside of football. I mean, cool, right? I hope you plan on hiring some specific analytics people, or at least the next head coach that comes in wants to have a specific group of analytic people, because listen, man, the league is using analytics a lot. And some of us old heads, I group myself up into those old heads, man. But like some of us old heads, man, we ain't even thinking analytics. I'm not thinking what the percentage is of going forward on second down on the 35-yard line with this much time in the clock and the sun at this area and the wind going from this way to that way. I don't know. I'm not I'm not privy to all that, right? I don't think in terms of that. But the league's doing it. So if the league's doing it and it's helping these teams in the leagues, we need to be doing it too. Like, that's just what it is. So, look, hopefully that's what he does. He also talked about, like, this hard to work with thing that's kind of coming as of late, Players may not want to be here because of Shurmur. Coaches may not want to come and work for the Giants because of Shurmur. And in his mind, he's like, I don't even know where that's coming from. I don't even understand why that's a thing. Listen, I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. I can understand why it's a thing. I can. Gettleman's kind of an asshole. Like he just is, man. He's a brash, in your face, tell like it is kind of dude. And some people ain't built to hear that kind of talk. You know what I'm saying? So like, I could see where some people may not want to work with him. There's quite a few former players that trash him every chance they get. Now, are those players bitter because they wanted to stay where they were and now they're somewhere else? Probably. But also, like, how was the situation handled? We don't get to see all that. We don't know. So, like, maybe some people are a little apprehensive about working with Gettlemen. I don't know. But Gettleman's like, yo, I'm a good guy. I'm a good dude. Come talk to me. Like, what up? I think he actually said what up or something like that in a press conference. And I was like, huh? Did he just go, what up? Whatever. But hey, we going to see. It seems like Gettleman is kind of okay with having a coach come in and having a little more say about the personnel, and he's willing to be open, and he's willing to be open to that, I suppose, because when someone asks him that question, especially regarding like college coaches and how college coaches are typically the GM and the coach at the college level, and how when they come to the pros, they're going to want to have more power in terms of personnel. His response is, I'm willing to do whatever is in the best interest of the New York Football Giants. That's kind of a non-answer, right? That's kind of a like, hey, maybe. But like, maybe he is. Maybe he is down to, if our next coach says, hey, I need more say in who we have on this roster, maybe he'll be willing to bend a little bit more because, clearly his ass is on the line in year 3. So he's got to do something. He's got to change something. Additionally, when it comes to the college coaches, right, he said that, like, he can understand why a college coach, could come into the NFL and be successful because, these players are getting younger and younger every single season, in terms of who you draft and who you bring in. And he's like, these college coaches, they have their ears to the streets, in terms of these younger players, and could probably relate to them a little bit better, and help them in terms of their development and the culture and all those things. So, hey, maybe we are going to get a college coach. That certainly sounds like a big thing, especially for like Matt Rule. He said some other stuff, here and there, responding to some of the reporters. Like I said, man, I walked away from this press conference and I was just kind of like, I guess, like, yeah, okay, cool. All right, so we know that our general manager is staying. According to ownership, we're going to do a big mass interviewing period with a bunch of different coaches. All right, cool, fine. As it stands right now, and I may be missing one or two people because I was kind of searching to see, who we were requested to speak to. As it stands right now, Matt Rule, obviously, Mike McCarthy, Josh McDaniels, Eric Bieniemy, Chris Richard, and Wink Martindale. So, just kind of briefly about each one. Matt Rule apparently really wants to come and coach in New York, man. He really wanted to work for the Jets, but they wasn't going to give him enough control over who his staff was. The Giants are probably desperate enough and like him enough to go, hey man, you come in, you pick whoever you want, bro. Whatever you want to do, you got it. So there's that, right? Especially since he declined to go and interview with the Browns, which, man, I'm going to do a past perspective on the Browns. Okay, I'm going to revisit these guys because, man, a lot of smack talk was said before this season, and now it looks like the Browns are the same old damn Browns. We're going to get into that later. But he declined to even interview with the Browns. That's interesting. And then, okay, Mike McCarthy. Listen, McCarthy has supposedly spent the time away from being a head coach, with a group, his little team, and they're looking over, different offenses and different defenses and analytics and all this new stuff. Like, he's been preparing. He's been preparing to come back and kick ass as a head coach. All right, cool, man. I like what you talk about. But at the end of the day, right? We're gonna have to see, man. Do we believe that bringing in a head coach that had some success somewhere for a while, and then kind of fell off the map for a little bit? I mean, is that the way to go? Has it worked in the past? Yes. Can it work in the future? Sure. But I mean, who knows? Josh McDaniels, man, everybody is jumping out the window over Josh McDaniels. I'm not, yo. I'm not jumping out the window on Josh McDaniels. Like, I know that he's a good offensive mind. I like some of his play calling. I like some of the plays he draws up. He's a good offensive mind, man. But like, I don't know. Something about Josh McDaniels that I'm kind of don't care. And before we hired Pat Shurmur and we was interviewing Josh McDaniels, I felt the same way about him then too. Like, I don't care. If you're here, whatever. If you're not, cool. I don't know. I don't dislike him, but I'm not like in love with the idea of him being our head coach. But we're gonna interview him. Eric Bieniemy. Okay, Eric Bieniemy is a offensive coordinator. Listen, Bieniemy is actually a beast when it comes to offense, even though he doesn't do any of the play calling, right? Up in Kansas City, but he is still heavily involved with the offense. He seems like a motivator. Hey, listen, I've heard a lot of talking heads. I've heard a lot of content creators talking about Eric Bieniemy and how Eric Bieniemy is an upcoming dude to be a head coach. We gonna see, man. We gonna see. Hey, listen, but Kansas City got a good offense, but they also got a lot of beasts up in Kansas City. So, I mean, is this another situation where it's like James Betcher? James Betcher had a lot of beasts in Arizona, and so the defense looked really good, but then he comes here and doesn't have as much talent, and you can see that he's maybe not as good as a coordinator as we thought. I mean, who knows? But it is what it is. Chris Richard. Is it Richard or is it Richard? I don't know. He's with Dallas. Okay, he's one of the defensive dudes with Dallas. I guess I don't know, man. I don't really have a whole lot of feelings about him. Is the Cowboys defense relatively good year to year? Yeah. They also got a lot of beasts. That's my problem, is that a lot of these guys, man, they just got a lot of beasts. They got a lot of beastly ass players. And I want someone who's successful without a bunch of beasts and superstars. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the way I see it right now. And then Wink Martindale, he's with the Ravens, defensive guy. I just learned about this maybe about an hour or two ago. People I just saw stuff on Twitter about it, and I was like, oh, okay. Let me look into this guy. Hey, listen, man, the Ravens defense has always been beastly, right? And supposedly, from what I've read and what I've seen and what I've heard, this is another one of those guys that motivate the hell out of players, man. And you know what? I like that. I like people who can motivate other people. So, it is what it is. He's going to come and be interviewed. If it sounds like I don't have a lot of opinions on these coaches right now, it's because I don't. Okay, I just don't. Right now, it's real hard for me to jump out the window on anybody. It just is. And I think I've kind of always been that way about head coaches. I'd have probably been a little more excited if there were talks about Ron Rivera. Unfortunately, he's going to go and be the head coach of the Redskins. That sucks a little bit, but I mean, it is what it is. I probably would have been a little bit excited about him because I do like Ron Rivera. But I mean, overall, I'm not excited. I'm not excited about any of these coaches right now. But maybe it's because I'm just not excited about the New York Giants in general. Like, that's kind of how I feel, and it just kind of bleeds into this whole situation. But I'm gonna wait and see, right? I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna see. We'll get through these interviews. Some of these interviews are starting as soon as the end of the week and into the weekend. I believe Matt Rule has a bowl game today. Either today or tomorrow. I don't know. But he's got a bowl game, so I'm pretty sure as soon as he's done with his bowl game, he's going to, go head on up to New York and New York, New Jersey area, sit on down and do this whole interview, and we'll see what happens. I would assume that it's going to take at least 10 days before we find out who's the new head coach of the Giants. At least. I'd be relatively okay with it taking like 10 days. I'd be okay with us like not rushing this thing. Interview as many guys as you can. Figure out who's the best fit based off of you getting as much information on all of these gentlemen as you possibly can, and then make the best decision. We don't need to rush this thing, okay? We really don't. All right. The vast majority of these guys know who they want their staff to be. Right, has probably already reached out to them and said, "Hey, man, if I get a head coaching gig, I want you with me." And they probably already like, know who's going to be with who. So we can take our time with this. All right, I would prefer us to do that. So look, that's kind of where we are right now, right? I really just want to decompress. I'm going to take this time to decompress about the Giants, right? I'm going to watch, the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and I'm going to just chill, man. I'm going to just chill and just enjoy some good football, right? I don't have to have a dog in the fight. That's kind of my favorite, when I can just watch good football and I don't have to be like emotionally invested in anything. I can just enjoy the game for what it is. So like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to decompress and we're going to get our minds right for next season. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to be doing videos, all right? I'm going to still come on this microphone. I'm going to still talk about things. Like I said, I'm going to do a pest perspective on the Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to also do I'm gonna review like my first video talking about the moves that we made prior to the beginning of this season, and I'm gonna listen and see what I got right, and I'm gonna see what I got wrong, and I'm gonna come in front of this microphone and I'm gonna tell y'all why I was wrong. All right. I see a lot of content creators that will they admit that they're wrong? They'll gingerly admit they're wrong. I'm gonna tell you why I was all the way wrong in some of my takes. And we'll see if I got anything right. I haven't really gone back and listened, so I don't necessarily remember everything that I said, prior to the season starting. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna take some notes, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tell y'all what I got wrong. So those are gonna probably be my next two videos. Those are gonna probably become, closer to, this weekend maybe, or next week. But yeah, like I said, even though I'm going to decompress about the Giants, I'm not going to stop talking about this team, and I'm not going to stop talking about some of the things in the NFL. I'll probably do a reaction to, to the games this weekend. I'll probably continue to do that all the way up to the Super Bowl. Probably react about whoever wins the Super Bowl, and then we'll get ready to start talking New York Giants football again, and the moves that we make starting, the end of the season, beginning of next season. So with all that said, man, I appreciate y'all coming and listen to me talk for a little bit. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. Hey, comment, man. I really want more people to comment on these videos, man. I want us to have some Discord, down in the comment section. Comics section. Let's just call it the comics section from here on out. I wish I could change it to say that. But anyway, y'all, I appreciate y'all, man. Hey, y'all have a happy new year. Please be safe. Please drink responsibly. Don't get behind the wheel if you've been drinking too much. All right, y'all. Let's kick off 2020 right. I hope everybody's prosperous. Let's get this money, baby. I'll get up with y'all guys later. Deuces.